there's light. There was light at the end of the tunnel that I wasn't aware of, and now it's here, and I'm bathed in light, and man, it feels good.
They broke records, changed culture, and became icons. From superhero kings and sitcom legends to rising stars whose lives were just getting started. But behind the fame, many were hiding pain, illness, and dark struggles the world never saw. And some taken in the most shocking ways imaginable. Here are the 21 black actors who were at the top of their game, and then, tragically, gone way too soon.
1. Chadwick Boseman.
Must find a way to look after one another as if we were one single tribe.
Chadwick Boseman was one of those actors who didn't just play a role, he became it. Most people knew him as King T'Challa from Black Panther, but his journey as an actor was way bigger than just that movie. He also played real-life heroes like Jackie Robinson in 42, James Brown in Get On Up, and Thurgood Marshall in Marshall. He always chose roles that meant something, that stood for strength, history, and pride. What's really heartbreaking is that the whole time he was filming these powerful roles, Chadwick was secretly fighting colon cancer. He was diagnosed in 2016, but he never told the world, not even when he was losing weight, going through surgeries, and dealing with chemotherapy. He still kept working, doing interviews, visiting sick kids in hospitals, and pushing through pain just to keep inspiring people. His death in 2020 shocked everyone. No one saw it coming. It was like the world just stopped. Fans around the world mourned, and even world leaders paid tribute. Kids cried because their hero was gone. A lot of people said they saw themselves in Chadwick, especially black kids who finally saw a superhero that looked like them. But even in death, Chadwick left behind a powerful message. He showed the world what it means to live with purpose, even when life gets tough. He didn't want pity, he wanted to make an impact. And he totally did. People still say, "Wakanda forever," but it's more than just a movie quote now. It's a way of remembering the strength, bravery, and dignity Chadwick showed, both on screen and off. 2. Aaliyah.
I'll be waiting there with my tricks, my load.
Aaliyah was like a breath of fresh air in the late 90s and early 2000s. She wasn't just a singer, she was a vibe. With her cool style, smooth voice, and quiet confidence, Aaliyah had something special. Songs like Are You That Somebody? And Try Again made her a superstar. But what made her stand out was how young she was and how much talent she had at just 22. But Aaliyah wasn't stopping at music. She had started acting too. She starred in Romeo Must Die with Jet Li and had just filmed Queen of the Damned. People were saying she was going to be the next big thing in both music and movies. Her future looked so bright. Then, suddenly, everything changed. In August 2001, after filming a music video in the Bahamas, Aaliyah and her crew boarded a small plane to return home. The plane was overloaded, and just minutes after takeoff, it crashed. Aaliyah was killed instantly. She was only 22. Her death crushed fans around the world. It felt unreal. She was so young, so talented, and had so much more to give. People still wonder what could have been, how many more songs, movies, and moments we could have had with her. Even now, over 20 years later, people still talk about her like she never left. Her music lives on, and her influence can still be seen in today's artists, like Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Normani. They all say Aaliyah inspired them. 3. Lamont Bentley. If you ever watched the show Moesha, then you probably remember Hakeem, the funny, always hungry guy who would walk straight into Moesha's house like he owned the place. That was Lamont Bentley. He made everyone laugh with his charm, goofy smile, and the way he just felt real. Fans loved how natural he was on screen. But Lamont wasn't just Hakeem. He had big dreams. He started acting in commercials as a kid, then slowly worked his way up to bigger roles. Aside from Moshe, he also starred in The Parkers, Tales from the Hood, and a few indie films. He was working hard to break into movies and was even working on his rap career at the same time. Then, one night in 2005, everything changed. Lamont was driving home in California after attending a screening. He lost control of his car on a dark stretch of freeway. Witnesses say he was speeding when he went over an embankment. His car rolled several times before crashing into traffic, and he was thrown from the vehicle. He died on the spot. He was only 31. When fans heard the news, it hurt. It didn't feel fair. He was still so young and had so much ahead of him. People who worked with him said he was kind, humble, and had this peaceful energy that made everyone feel comfortable. 4. Merlin Santana.
If you decide to go to the cafeteria, bring me up some chocolate milk and some Cheez-Its.
Merlin Santana was one of those actors you just knew was going to be big. He had the looks, the confidence, and the talent. Most people knew him as Romeo from The Steve Harvey Show, the smooth-talking, funny teen who always had a smart comment. But Merlin had been acting since he was a kid. He was in shows like The Cosby Show and Moesha, and even had roles in movies. He was building something huge. But in 2002, something terrible happened. One night in Los Angeles, Merlin was sitting in a car with a friend after leaving a club. Out of nowhere, someone walked up and shot him in the head. Just like that. He was only 26. The whole situation started over a lie. A girl had made up a story about Merlin, and her boyfriend acted on it. He was later caught and sentenced to life in prison. Fans were heartbroken. Merlin was at the peak of his career. He had just done a movie and was planning to move into more serious roles. It felt like his big moment was just beginning. People who knew Merlin said he was focused, professional, and stayed out of trouble. He wasn't into drama or scandals. He just wanted to act and build a better life for his family. His death was senseless and tragic. A young life, full of promise, taken way too soon. 5. Antoine Ashley. Antoine Ashley, better known as Sahara Davenport, wasn't just a drag queen. He was a performer who lit up every room he walked into. If you've ever watched RuPaul's Drag Race Season 2, you probably remember Sahara for her elegance, grace, and powerful dance moves. She wasn't loud or dramatic like some others. She was soft-spoken, classy, and always carried herself with so much heart. Sahara could move. One of her most unforgettable moments was when she did a backflip in high heels during a lip-sync battle. It was iconic. But behind all that sparkle and performance was a real person named Antoine who had worked super hard to get there. He was trained in classical dance, studied at Southern Methodist University, and dreamed of performing on big stages. And he did it. He danced, acted, modeled, and even released music. He was doing everything he loved. But in 2012, something shocking happened. Sahara passed away from heart failure at just 27 years old. It was so sudden. No one saw it coming. Fans were confused and heartbroken. People online started sharing their favorite moments and how Sahara inspired them to be confident and proud of who they are. Even RuPaul posted a tribute, saying Sahara was a beautiful angel with a kind soul. Sahara's death was a huge loss for the drag and LGBTQ+ community. She wasn't just a performer, she was someone who made people feel safe, seen, and accepted. And she always did it with style. 6. Lee Thompson Young.
Dad. Ooh, see you at the party, and Vicky, Vicky.
Alien abduction shouldn't keep you out past your curfew. Now this is gonna hurt you more than it's gonna hurt me.
If you were a Disney Channel kid in the early 2000s, you probably remember the famous Jet Jackson. That was Lee Thompson Young. He played a teen action star who also lived a normal life in a small town. It was one of those shows that made you believe you could be anything. Lee was cool, calm, and super talented, like someone you'd want to be friends with in real life. After that show ended, Lee didn't disappear. He went on to act in shows like Smallville, Scrubs, and Rizzoli and Isles, where he played a detective. He was also super smart. He graduated with honors from USC and was known to be quiet, focused, and really kind to everyone around him. But behind the scenes, Lee was dealing with something invisible: bipolar disorder. He never talked much about it publicly. He just kept working, always showing up and doing his best. Then, in 2013, the world got some heartbreaking news. Lee didn't show up on set one day. When the crew went to check on him, they found out he had taken his own life. He was only 29. Everyone was shocked. No one expected it, because he always seemed so put together. That's the scary thing about mental health. Sometimes people hide their pain so well that no one sees it coming. 7. Tupac Shakur.
What do you want from me?
Think you kind of fly.
Tupac wasn't just a rapper. He was a movement. Even if you weren't alive when he was around, you've probably heard his songs or seen his face on posters, t-shirts, and murals. Tupac had this crazy way of being both raw and poetic at the same time. He could go from talking about street life to speaking about peace and injustice, all in one track. But what a lot of people forget is that Tupac was also an actor, and a really good one. He starred in movies like Juice, Poetic Justice with Janet Jackson, and Above the Rim. He brought the same intensity to acting that he had in his music. He made you feel things. You could see his pain, his anger, and his hope through every role. Outside of art, Tupac's life was wild. He grew up in a tough environment, dealt with violence, legal trouble, and was constantly in the spotlight. He had enemies, and people were always watching him, waiting for him to mess up. Then came the night of September 7th, 1996. Tupac was in Las Vegas, riding in a car with Suge Knight after a boxing match. A car pulled up next to them at a red light. Someone inside opened fire. Tupac was hit multiple times. He died 6 days later in the hospital. He was only 25. His death broke millions of hearts. Fans, other artists, even people who didn't like rap. Everyone felt the loss. Tupac was more than music or movies. He was a voice for a generation. 8. Nipsey Hussle.
Grammy nominated, in the sign of shedding tears, all this money power.
Nipsey Hussle was more than just a rapper. He was a builder, a leader, and a hometown hero. If you knew him, you knew he repped Crenshaw and South Central LA like no one else. He was all about helping his people rise up, not just through music, but through business, education, and real-life change. What made Nipsey special was how real he stayed. He didn't leave the hood and forget it. He stayed in the community, opened businesses, and gave jobs to people who had nothing. He preached about owning your stuff, your music, your buildings, your future. He was also starting to act. He had done some indie film roles and was talking about doing more on-screen projects. With his looks, charm, and presence, he could have become a big deal in Hollywood too. But sadly, he never got that chance. On March 31st, 2019, Nipsey was standing outside his clothing store, The Marathon, when he was shot multiple times. He died right there, in the same neighborhood he was trying to uplift. He was just 33. People were devastated. It didn't make sense. How could someone who gave so much to his community be taken like that? Celebrities, athletes, and even politicians spoke about him. His funeral was held in the Staples Center, and thousands showed up to honor him. And just when his career was taking off, this Walking Dead actor vanished. And what happened next shocked everyone. 9. Moses J. Mosley. If you watched The Walking Dead, then you probably remember the 2 chained-up walkers that Michonne used as pets. One of them was played by Moses J. Mosley. Even though he didn't have lines, he became one of the most recognizable faces on the show. His character was intense, mysterious, and added a lot to Michonne's story. Fans noticed him and loved him. Moses wasn't just a background actor. He also appeared in shows like Watchmen and movies like The Hunger Games, Catching Fire. He was starting to build a solid career in Hollywood. People said he was super kind, always smiling, and had this positive energy that made everyone feel comfortable around him. But in January 2022, something really sad happened. Moses was reported missing by his family. They hadn't heard from him in a few days, which was unusual. A short time later, his body was found in his car with a gunshot wound. At first, people weren't sure what happened. There were rumors about foul play, and even the police looked into whether it could have been a homicide. But in the end, it was ruled a self-harm. He was just 31 years old. The news hit fans hard. A lot of people were shocked because, from the outside, Moses seemed happy and full of life. It's a reminder that we never really know what someone's going through inside. Mental health struggles can be invisible and deadly. 10th Christoph Street, John.
When exactly was it that you started feeling sorry?
Christoph Street. John was the kind of actor who became part of your daily life. If you or your family watched daytime TV, then you probably saw him playing Neil Winters on The Young and the Restless. He was on that show for almost 30 years. That's a long time. He wasn't just acting, he was part of people's routines, their comfort, their memories. Christoph started acting as a kid. He was in commercials, TV shows, and movies, but it was Y and R that really made him a household name. He even won several awards for his work. He brought depth and emotion to every scene, and fans loved how real he made his character feel. He wasn't playing, he was Neil Winters. But behind the scenes, Christoph was struggling. In 2014, his 24-year-old son, Julian, died by self-harm after battling mental health issues. Christoph was completely devastated. He tried to stay strong and keep working, but the pain never fully went away. He was open about his grief, and many fans supported him through it. Then in February 2019, Christoph passed away at age 52. The cause was heart disease, but alcohol played a role too. Some said he died of a broken heart. His death was a shock, especially for Young and the Restless fans who had watched him for decades. The show paid tribute to him in a special episode that left viewers in tears. Christoph was more than an actor. He was a symbol of strength, vulnerability, and family. He showed up every day to do what he loved, even when his heart was hurting. That takes courage. 11. Jason Reyes.
A starlight gone dark.
Jason Reyes was one of those talents that made you stop and say, wow. Even if you don't recognize his name right away, you've probably heard his voice. He played Kovu in The Lion King II, Simba's pride, the cool, misunderstood lion who stole hearts. But even before that, Jason made a huge mark by being the original Simba on Broadway in the Lion King musical. That's a big deal. He wasn't just a voice actor or a stage performer. Jason could sing, act, and light up a room. He had the kind of voice that gave you chills. People who saw him on stage said he had this crazy mix of power and gentleness. It felt like he was born to play Simba. Outside of musicals, he was also working on music and appeared in a few TV roles. He even became a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador for the environment, using his voice and fame to talk about important issues like climate change and protecting nature. That says a lot about who he was inside. But behind all the success, Jason was going through a hard time. In 2004, he was found dead in a barn in upstate New York. It was ruled a self-harm. He was only 28 years old. His death left a lot of people confused and heartbroken. He seemed like someone who had everything going for him. But again, mental health is invisible sometimes. No matter how perfect someone looks on the outside, you never know what they're battling inside. 12th, Rasual Butler.
It's a pretty exciting finish by Rasual Butler.
Rasual Butler was mostly known for being an NBA player, but he was more than just an athlete. He had the kind of vibe that made people take notice: tall, stylish, and super chill. He played in the NBA for over a decade with teams like the Miami Heat, Clippers, Lakers, and Wizards. But outside the court, Rasual had big dreams. He started getting into the entertainment world, doing cameos and appearing in small Hollywood projects. He had that camera-ready look and a smooth presence that could have taken him far in acting. And let's not forget, his partner was singer Aaliyah LaBelle, who was also incredibly talented. They were like this cool, low-key power couple, both chasing their dreams. But on January 31st, 2018, everything came crashing down. Rashawal was driving his Range Rover in Los Angeles with Leah in the passenger seat. It was really late at night. Reports say he was speeding and lost control of the car. It hit a wall, flipped, and slammed into a parking lot. Both Rashawal and Leah were killed instantly. He was 38, and she was only 31. Fans were stunned. It was one of those stories that just hits you in the gut. Two young, talented people gone in a second. People from the NBA, the music industry, and Hollywood all came forward to share memories, love, and heartbreak. From tragedy on the road to a quiet battle with illness, this next actress kept fans laughing even through pain. 13. Yvette Wilson.
She's crazy, period. Shirley saw my stand-up the other night. She came to work. She said, "Oh, I didn't know."
Yvette Wilson was the kind of actress who made you laugh without even trying. She played Andal on Moesha and the Parkers, that chill, wise, funny friend who always had your back and didn't take nonsense from anyone. Every time she showed up on screen, you knew something hilarious was about to happen. But Yvette wasn't just funny. She was real. Her comedy felt honest, like your aunt or older cousin cracking jokes in the kitchen. That's why people connected with her. She had this warmth about her, even when she was roasting someone. What a lot of fans didn't know, though, was that behind the scenes, Yvette was sick. She was battling cervical cancer and also had issues with her kidneys. But she didn't make a big deal out of it. She wasn't posting sad updates or looking for attention. She was just fighting quietly. Then in 2012, the news broke that Yvette had passed away at 48 years old. People were shocked. For many fans, it was the first time they even knew she had cancer. It felt like we lost someone from our own family. Her co-stars from Moesha and the Parkers all shared emotional messages about how loving and funny she was in real life. 14. Natalie Desselle-Reid.
Lead the way, Alfred.
Who is Alfred?
You know, Batman's homeboy.
Natalie Desselle-Reid had a smile that could light up the whole screen. You might remember her as the funny, lovable Mickey in BAPS alongside Halle Berry, or as the sassy, supportive best friend in shows like Eve and movies like Medea's Big Happy Family. No matter what role she played, she made it unforgettable. Natalie had this way of making characters feel real. She wasn't the typical Hollywood actress. She was curvy, confident, and full of personality. She showed a generation of black girls that you didn't have to fit into a perfect mold to be beautiful or funny or loved. She owned her space and made it shine. But in 2020, we got news that shook us. Natalie had passed away at just 53 years old after a private battle with colon cancer. Just like Chadwick Boseman, she kept her diagnosis to herself. She didn't want pity or headlines. She just wanted to keep making people smile for as long as she could. Her death broke hearts. Fans were stunned, and so were her co-stars. Halle Berry even posted a really emotional tribute, saying Natalie was one of the most genuine, kind-hearted people she had ever worked with. That says a lot. Natalie left behind a husband, 3 kids, and a legacy of love and laughter. She didn't have to be loud or flashy to stand out. Her talent spoke for itself. She made people feel seen and valued, especially those who didn't always see themselves in movies or TV. 15. Christopher Big Black Boykin. If you watched Robin Big on MTV back in the day, you definitely remember Big Black. He was Rob Dyrdek's best friend, bodyguard, and total opposite. Big, hilarious, and always keeping it real. The two of them were like a perfect comedy duo. Whether they were buying mini horses or making random bets, Big Black brought the laughs every single time. Big Black's real name was Christopher Boykin, and before TV, he served in the Navy. After that, he started working security and into something super fun to watch. He even had catchphrases like, "Let's do work," that fans still quote to this day. But behind the big personality was a man who had some serious health struggles. He dealt with heart problems and weight issues for years. Even though he looked like this strong, unshakable guy, his body was under a lot of stress. In 2017, Big Black passed away from heart failure at just 45 years old. The news hit fans hard. He had just reconnected with Rob and was working on new ideas. People really thought they'd see him back on screen. What made it sadder is how much people loved him, not just for being funny, but for being kind, honest, and real. He brought joy to millions without trying too hard. That's rare. Big Black may be gone, but his memory lives on in every clip, every laugh, and every fan who still yells, "Let's do work." 16. Thomas Mekal Ford. Most people knew Thomas Mekal Ford as Tommy from the hit 90s sitcom Martin. He was the guy who ain't got no job, but somehow was always dressed fresh and full of advice. Tommy was funny, cool, and always the mature one in the group. He balanced out Martin's wild energy with calm, smooth vibes. But Thomas wasn't just an actor. In real life, he cared deeply about inspiring people, especially young black kids. After Martin ended, he wrote children's books, gave motivational speeches, and even directed plays. He wanted to help people grow, not just entertain them. In 2016, Thomas had a ruptured aneurysm in his abdomen. It happened suddenly, and even though he was rushed to the hospital, he didn't make it. He passed away at 52. Fans were devastated. Even though 52 isn't super young, it still felt too soon. He was working on new projects and still making an impact, especially in schools and communities. His co-stars like Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell posted emotional tributes, calling him a true friend and inspiration. Everyone talked about how kind and humble he was, the kind of guy who always lifted others up. Thomas Mekal Ford may have played a jobless guy on TV, but in real life, he worked non-stop to make a difference. And that's a legacy worth remembering. 17. Tamara Dobson. Before there was Wonder Woman on screen, there was Cleopatra Jones, a stylish, tough, black female action star who didn't take nonsense from anybody. And the woman behind that role was Tamara Dobson. Tamara wasn't just an actress. She was a model, standing nearly 6 feet tall and full of confidence. She broke beauty standards at a time when Hollywood didn't offer much for black women, especially not in lead roles. But she didn't wait for permission. She walked in and owned it. In the 1970s, she became famous for playing Cleopatra Jones, a secret agent who could fight, shoot, and still look like a total fashion icon. She made 2 hit movies and inspired a whole generation of girls who finally saw someone that looked like them saving the day. But after her big roles, Tamara mostly stepped out of the spotlight. She dealt with health problems for years, including multiple sclerosis and pneumonia. In 2006, she passed away at 59 in a hospital in Maryland. A lot of people didn't even know she was sick, and when she died, it felt like the world forgot how groundbreaking she really was. She was one of the first to prove that a black woman could lead an action movie and be both beautiful and powerful. Tamara Dobson didn't need a cape. She had her own style, strength, and spirit. And even though Hollywood moved on, her legacy is still alive in every fierce female hero we see today. 18. Mia Amber Davis.
Hi, my name is Mia Amber Davis, and I'm a full-figure model.
Mia Amber Davis was one of those women who lit up a room the second she walked in. She was a plus-size model, actress, and body positivity queen before it was even trendy. Most people remember her hilarious scene-stealing role in the movie Road Trip. She played the confident, sassy girl who completely flipped the script, and she made it look easy. Mia wasn't afraid to be bold. She walked runways, posed for magazines, and spoke out about loving your body no matter what size you were. She gave plus-size women someone to look up to, someone who was sexy, funny, and powerful all in one. In 2011, Mia had knee surgery, something pretty routine. But just one day later, she started having trouble breathing. It turned out she had a blood clot that moved to her lungs. Within hours, she passed away. She was only 36 years old. Her death shocked everyone. It was so sudden, so random, and just didn't make sense. One day she was smiling and planning her next photo shoot. The next, she was gone. People in the fashion world, acting world, and especially the plus-size community were heartbroken. She wasn't just a model. She was a voice, a fighter, a woman who showed that beauty comes in every size. 19, Gary Coleman.
Did you notice anything unusual about Henry the maintenance man?
Yeah, he was wet. I guess the man sweats a lot.
Gary Coleman was one of those stars that everyone knew. Even if you never saw a full episode of Different Strokes, you've probably heard the famous line, "What you talking about, Willis?" That was Gary. He played Arnold Jackson, a smart, funny little kid with a big personality who totally stole the show. He became a huge star when he was just a kid. But while Gary was loved on screen, his real life was really tough. He was born with a rare kidney disease that stunted his growth, so even as an adult, he looked like a child. He had multiple surgeries and struggled with health problems his entire life. Even though he made millions as a child star, his parents and managers didn't handle his money right, and he ended up broke. In his adult years, Gary tried to get back into acting. He did some small roles and reality TV, but Hollywood didn't treat him with the same love they did when he was a kid. People made fun of his size or just saw him as a joke, which was really sad. In 2010, Gary had a bad fall at home and hit his head. He suffered a brain hemorrhage and was rushed to the hospital, but he didn't survive. He passed away at just 42 years old. 20. Suzanne Douglas.
You see? He's just like Dad.
You know, I knew there was something I liked about that kid.
Suzanne Douglas had this calm, loving energy that made every role she played feel real. Most people remember her as Jerry Peterson, the mom on The Parent 'Hood. She wasn't loud or flashy. She was graceful, strong, and always seemed to know the right thing to say. She made you wish she was your mom, too. But Suzanne's career went way beyond sitcoms. She acted in powerful films like Jason's Lyric, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, and The Inkwell. She also had a serious theater background, performing in Broadway and off-Broadway productions. She was super talented and brought a quiet power to every role. In real life, Suzanne was just as inspiring. She wasn't chasing fame. She was focused on her craft, her family, and her faith. She earned degrees, mentored young actors, and stayed grounded. She was the kind of actress who didn't need attention to shine. Her work spoke for itself. In July 2021, fans were hit with sad news. Suzanne had passed away at 64 from cancer. What made it more shocking was that hardly anyone knew she was even sick. She had kept it private and chose to face her illness quietly. 21. Natalie Cole.
Though near or far.
Natalie Cole came from music royalty. She was the daughter of Nat King Cole, one of the most legendary singers ever. But Natalie didn't just live in her dad's shadow. She created her own powerful legacy through music, acting, and pure soul. Everyone knows her songs like This Will Be and Everlasting Love, and Unforgettable, the virtual duet she did with her father that gave everyone chills. But not everyone remembers that Natalie was also an actress. She starred in movies, did TV appearances, and even had her own biopic where she told her real story, the good, the bad, and the painful. Natalie's life wasn't easy. She struggled with drug addiction in the early part of her career, which caused serious health problems later on. She was super honest about it, though, and used her platform to help others. She got clean, made a major comeback, and earned multiple Grammy Awards. Her story became one of survival, healing, and strength. In 2015, Natalie died from heart failure caused by complications related to her past health issues. She was 65. It was one of those deaths that didn't feel real. She was still performing, still glowing, still sounding incredible. And then, just like that, she was gone.